Uh, Korwa, Ravishing Designer, 5 play point 4/4. Forestcraft, legendary. Fanfare, if your leader, give your leader the following effect. At the start of your turn, put a fill in your hand. Put 2 fills in your hand if at least 4 damage was dealt to your leader during your opponent's turn. This effect is not stackable and lasts the rest of the match. Enhance 8, put 3 fills in your hand, recover 3 play points. Stat-wise, she's below the curve. Just a little bit. Like, just missing 1 stat, which is fine. Her fanfare does not give you any immediate value other than putting 1 fill in your hand. A fill is a 1 play point spell. It gives an allied follower 1 defense. If you've played at least 4 other fills this match, that follower can attack twice per turn. Which is like, is how you win the game. If you're playing a Korwa deck, after you play your 5th fill, you win the game, hopefully. So, how fast are you going to get your fills? Oh, it doesn't give you fill immediately. It's only start your turn. So, if you don't get attacked for more than 4 damage, you're gonna wait 5 turns, unless you enhance Korwa. You play on turn 5. You take, let's say you take 4 damage immediately. You'll have 2. Turn 6, if you get attacked again for 4, you'll have 4, and then on turn 7, you'd be able to play your 5th fill. Of course, if your opponent plays around you, getting the fills fast enough, you're going to have to wait a long time. Probably until turn 8, when you can enhance second Korwa. It's pretty slow if you want to focus on just winning the game with fills. But they're 1-cost play point spell, so they can activate your cards played counter. So it works pretty well in Forest. They don't also take up the board space. Like, usually you have a bunch of fairies, so you raise your count, but fairies take up board space. This doesn't. The fills can kind of help you trade. If you can buff the defense of a card, and it can maybe survive a trade. But what you're looking for is getting that 5th fill down on something big, attacking in the face twice. It's a deck, like it's a card you have to build a deck around. I don't think you just slam it into Forestcraft mid-range. You kind of have to have some targets for the fills to win the game. Maybe like Owlbear. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna slap a 7 on it, because it is a win card. It will win you the game. Maybe there's not a deck for it right now, but it's strong enough to win the game for sure. Just kind of slow. And if you get a nice like control shell for Forest, maybe it's good enough. Unlimited, it's really slow. Maybe you can use this with Roach combo, but it's like really slow. I'd assume you probably don't, so I'm just gonna give us a 3. Take 2. The games go long. Take 2. It's a continuous effect. So if the game goes past turn 10, she's insane. And also you'd probably pick Owlbear and take 2. You have a good target for her. Give her 8. Next we have God Hunter Selwyn. 5 play point 3/5. With Accelerate 2, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. If you don't know what Accelerate is, it allows you to play the card as a spell at that cost, instead of the full cost. And does a certain effect. If you play him regularly, he has Ward and Fanfare. Deal 4 damage to enemy follower if at least 2 other cards were played this turn. Then deal 2 damage to all enemy followers if at least 4 other cards were played this turn. If you have Wisps, that will help you get your card count up. That's like I was talking about with Korwa. The cards like the Fill and the Fairies will also get your card count up. So you build your deck with Wisps, you can probably get a solid tempo turn on turn 5, and then later in the game you can have a like situational board clear. But it's pretty situational and requires some setup. But if the setup is consistent enough, then this card's really good. Also by himself, he kind of stops aggressive plans. He has the average amount of defense for a 5-drop and just like a little bit lower attack, but it's fine because he has Ward and has a very good Fanfare if you can pull it off. Also, the Accelerate too is nice. This is a flex, like early in the game if you need removal. And good flex card. Probably A7 again. He's not a game-winning card, he's just a very solid card. And he only does like 2 damage to all enemy followers, which is fine, but doesn't clear, like, doesn't pass the Arthur test. It does not clear an Arthur board by himself. Unless, without an evolve, right? So you need like 4 other cards and an evolve to clear an Arthur board. So, not insane, but still good. Unlimited, you have more access to cheap like 0-cost cards, so he's easier to activate, but again, like in Unlimited you have better cards to play on 5, like 3 to 10 limited. Take 2, he doesn't really win the game by himself, as like Korwa does. Like Korwa's ability will win you games in Take 2, and it's also very hard to pull off his Fanfare in Take 2 unless you get the right deck. Give him 6 out of 10, maybe a lower score, depending on how often the average deck can use him, use his Fanfare ability, but also he can accelerate for 2 damage, which is just fine, right? He's good, but not super exciting. If like cards I'm going to give a 10 are going to be like super insane. Every deck's going to want to run them. Either they win like the turn that they play them, they have such a huge tempo swing that they pretty much could win the game, or they're like a good finisher that wins the game. I don't think I've seen this card yet. A 4-play point, 4/3. With Clash, draw a card. And Evolve, deal X damage to enemy follower, X equals the number of cards in your hand. And this keeps Clash, draw a card. And evolves into a 5/4, so it doesn't full stats. It's actually fine. It's like Force doesn't really have a Dragon Warrior type kind of card. It also has a Clash draw card, which makes it better than a Dragon Warrior. Clash draw card is usually good because it can net you 2 or more cards on average, and also like becomes a removal target like super fast. You're gonna use your Evolve to get 1 card out of her and clear probably 2 things. And if they don't have removal, she might get another card, which is really good. Her stats aren't amazing. You'd rather see a 3/4 than a 5/4. Not a lot of things have 5 defense in the early game, but a lot of things have 4 attack. So You kind of want the stats to be the other way around. It's a forest card, which kind of changes the dynamic because Forest kind of wants to play a bunch of small things to get bonuses from brambles. But I think it's good enough that you'd probably just run it anyways because it's such a strong tempo card. Maybe not an aggro card, but it's like super strong tempo in mid-range and control. I'm gonna give it an 8. Unlimited. It's fine. Not like the best. I'd say it's even more playable than the other cards just because this is such a strong tempo play, but not limited worthy. Like, it can essentially almost 4 for 1. If it clears 2 followers and draws you 2 cards, I would count that a 4 for 1. So it's can be like the ceiling of this card is really high. With 4 limited. Like a limited play has to be super good, or work towards one of the strategies that already exist in limited. Take 2, probably like I'd say 9 out of 10. Huge, get huge advantage like immediately with this card. It's pretty insane. Take 2. Even if it just trades, like you draw a card, clear 2 things, it's still good. Shamu and Shama, Noblekin. 3 play point, 2/3. Fanfare, choose, put either Shamu's Antics or Shama's Gaze in your hand. She's got good stats. This is perfect stats for a 3-drop. Antics is deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, or 2 defense to your leader for 2 play points. It's a very good rate. I would say restoring 2 defense to your leader is about worth 1 play point. Maybe like half a play point. And dealing 2 damage is about 1.5 play points. So it has a decent rate. And then the gaze is give an enemy follower minus X until end of turn, where X equals number of cards in your hand. Forest has an easy time keeping cards in hand because of generating a bunch of fairies and just holding onto the fairies. This is kind of like an emergency card, where Antics is usually the go-to. This maybe can buy you a turn in late game when you need it. Just like neutralize an enemy follower for a turn while you set up either your win con or just slow the game down enough to get a board clear down. So it's usually you're probably gonna pick this card, but having the option to pick Gaze is fine. The only thing that's awkward is that it's a 3 play point card that generates a 2 play point spell, so you can't play both on turn 4 with the evolve if you're going second, but if you're going first you get both. And usually it's awkward to evolve a 3-drop, like going second is usually when you're worried about that evolve to get you back in the game. Involving a 3-drop on turn 4 isn't great on your curve unless you have a 1-drop to fill in the play points. Yeah. So you got a Vampire Kiss or the option to, like, if you really need that Gaze. It's okay. Where this card is a really good evolve and draws you cards. This evolve's okay. But on an awkward 3 play point card. And I'm pretty sure Forestcraft has better 3-drops. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 for rotation. This is pretty unplayable and limited. You know, I'm gonna give it a 5. It's like average. It's like in the middle ground. Take two. It's not too exciting. It's fine. But usually you want your gold cards and your legendary cards to either have a huge impact or win you the game. Because in Forest, your bronze and silvers don't really get you there. They help you achieve the win con that usually is your gold and legendary cards in Forest. So it's also like a 5. Owlbear. 8 point 66 with ambush. Whenever the follower attacks, give -1 attack to all enemy followers. Ambush act for you. This is my reveal card. If you haven't seen the video, you can check out the video on YouTube. Stat-wise, his stats are a little bit lower than average, but it makes sense because he's ambush. Like 8 play point card, the average stats would be a 7/7, but it makes sense that his stats are a little bit lower because of ambush. And whenever this follower attacks, give -1 all enemy followers. It's kind of irrelevant. Like maybe sometimes it can help against like a board of 1 attack followers, but mostly irrelevant. It's mainly about this ambush. And right now, the only reason I see this card being run is a win con with Corwall, because you just sit this thing in ambush, and then you can use the fills to get it to attack twice with the evolve at 16 damage, which is a lot. Even with the evolve, it's 12. And it's like turn 9. But you have to take turn 8 off, so it's like really awkward and clunky and slow, but it is a win con. It's yeah, I wouldn't say you play this card. You give it a 4 rotation, unplayable and limited. Take two. If you look at the card pool for Forestcraft, they don't have a lot of big followers. It just kind of fits that that curve. It didn't really exist before in Forestcraft, especially in the silver slot, so you're gonna see them a few times. I think it's like decent pickup for Forestcraft to have like a late game finisher. The issue with Forestcraft, it's hard to get finishers because a lot of their cards are really low costed. You don't have high impact cards to help you win the game. I'm gonna give it a 7. It's probably a 6, but he's pretty fluffy, so I'm gonna give him a 7. Don't underestimate ambush. Very strong keyword. I haven't seen this guy yet. 5 play point, 3/6, Witherwood Guardian. He has ward. Whenever this follower attacks, whenever this follower's attack or defense is increased by spell or effect, deal 1 damage to random follower. There's a few of those effects sitting in Forest. Some of them are okay. I think this is just kind of a take 2 card. If this was more than 1 damage, it would probably be okay. Like if it was 2 damage, maybe it'd be fine. 1 damage is enough, especially when putting effort into buffing him is actually kind of annoying. His stats are good. His stats are solid. Just being a ward with like a 3/6 ward for 5 is good enough. Like it's a good pick for take 2. I don't think he's good for constructed. And good enough for constructed. I mean for take 2, because his stats are good. 4 play point, 4/3, and fair draw card. And whenever this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. It's fine. It's not as unexciting. Like, that card's super unexciting compared to freaking Ventura. He's good. He's really good. This card fills a different role. So it's playable and constructed if there's a lot of 1/1s or 1 health followers sitting around. There's a few in Sword that are really annoying, especially in like mirror match against another forest deck. So I could see this being a tech card for certain metas. The Fanfare draw card is also fine. So it's really situational based on what kind of the meta, which way the meta is going. Yeah, she's the weaker version of her sister. Rotation. I'll give her 6.5 because it's really meta dependent. It's like really good in certain situations, but a lot of time doesn't do that much. Unlimited, again, unplayable. It's like, just because Forestcraft doesn't want this card. Some some classes actually might want this, but Forestcraft doesn't really do anything for them. And Take Two, it's silver card. You see it a lot more often than her sister, and just draws you a card. 4.43 draw card is just fine. And its evolve can be pretty helpful. It's a 7 in Take Two. Maybe an 8. Now we're into bronze. 3.23 with ambush. And it's a mushroom. Yeah, this card have existed before in Shadowcraft. It only saw play in aggro decks. And then kind of not that much play. So we'll see. It could see play in aggro forest. It's not like insane. It just gets you 2 damage, nets you 2 damage in aggro, which is about average what you want for an aggro card on 3 play points. Tenacious Ghost is unplayable in Unlimited. You know, this might actually see Unlimited play more than most of the other cards. Give it a 3. Give it a 5 in rotation, just because it has the potential of being an aggro card. It's just not like the aggro deck might be good, and this card might go in the aggro deck, but this card by itself isn't good enough to give a better rating. Take Two, he's fine. He's got good stats. Has ambush. Ambush is a good keyword for Take Two because you're gonna dodge removal, like a cudgel or something. He's fine. He's a good pickup. Good, especially good for your a 3-drop. More bronze cards. Devil Flower, 2 play point, 2/1 with Fanfare. Destroy an enemy amulet if at least 2 other cards are played this turn. This card destroys Tenko Shrine. There's gonna be a lot of Tenko Shrines. This is good. This is a good card. Its stats are below average. 2/1 is better than a 1/2 because this can still kill fighters. Or 2/1s don't really. But it dies so 1-drops. And a lot of like tokens. But whatever. You're just playing this card to destroy Tenko Shrine. It's gonna see a lot of play because the Tenko Shrine is gonna see a lot of play. And also a lot of amulets in this expansion, as you'll see later. So, good deck card. By itself, it's probably about a 7, but since the meta is going to be very amulet heavy, I'm going to give it an 8. Unlimited. Actually, you might see play Unlimited as well. Because you do see Tenko Shrine in Unlimited. And a few other amulets. Give it a 5. Take 2. It's fine, actually. It's good. Fills the curve. And can destroy ambulance if you see them. Like a canyon from Dragon. It's a good. Just play this with some other cards. Destroy the canyon. It's really good. And it's bronze, so see it a lot. A good card. Actually, one of the better cards we've seen so far in Forest. Utopian Fairy. 2 play point 2/2. Fanfare enhance 5. Give an allied follower +1/+2. Restore 3 defense to your leader. This is a frog cleric pretty much, except the enhance costs 1 more, but you get +1/+2. Yeah, it could be a control forest card. Is it really worth it for all this stuff? Thing is, the healing that you get from the frog cleric is actually relevant because it activates different abilities. Like Tenko Shrine or Elena's or whatever, right? You play that card because it activates something else. This is just heals you. There's no other benefit than just healing yourself. And getting a +1/+2 is fine. It's just fine. This card's just fine. It's not terrible. It also has fighter stats. Go to 5. Healing is pretty relevant in Unlimited. But I don't know if I don't think you'd play this card. Just to get that heal. And again, it's a fighter with benefits. So it's just good. I forget what I rated the freaking mushroom, but it'd be about the same as the mushroom. Probably be like a 7. This is gonna be a long set review, guys. You're gonna sit for a long time. Probably not 5 hours or 10 hours. It's gonna be a few hours. Fairy Refuge. 1 play point, amulet. If at least 2 other cards were played this turn, and you have at least 1 play point, choose play this card as either Fairy's Yawn or Fairy's Awakening. If you don't do that, it has countdown 2 at the end of your turn, put a fairy in your hand. It will net 2 fairies for 1 play point, which is fine. Oops. Yawn, countdown 2 at the end of your turn, select your enemy follower. It can't attack this turn. Sorry. Just have to use this, how this works. If the combo into this, it's okay. I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't choose to play this card. Fairy's Awakening, countdown 2, during your opponent's turn, whenever an enemy follower attacks your leader, deal 1 damage to that follower. Yeah, so a random freeze effect, and then just like a protection from small things for 2 turns. It's pretty flexible. So the option against a bunch of small things or big things, and you can just play it to get you 2 fairies, which is actually fine. The only issue is that it's an amulet and not like a spell that gets you 2 fairies. This card's actually playable because it's flexible, and if you need fairies, it's decent rate. Just kind of slow. Actually give it a 6 rotation. Maybe playable, depending on the meta. Unplayable and unlimited. Yeah. Like, it could be tech against aggro, but it's just kind of awkward to play. And take 2, it's fine, because getting the 1 play point for 2 fairies is fine. Just really bad top deck, kind of, depending on the situation. It's about the same as rotation. I'm gonna give it a 6. Actually, I haven't changed rotation to a 5. It's just average. Yeah, 5, 1, and 6. That's Forest. Overall, they didn't get anything too crazy. Core was interesting. Maybe we'll see a deck raise from it. Guitar is good. Selwyn's fine. They might be the counter to Haven because of Devil Flower. Yeah. Forest will probably like I have to look at what they lose and what they still have. They lose a lot of shit. Aggro Forest will still be strong, actually. But maybe just like Aggro Forest text these bronze cards in, and maybe Matura, and then they're just like fine. I'm not sure about control and mid range.